This is part 3 of the how-to on the installation of Informatica PowerCenter Server Edition running on Ubuntu 16.04.02 Server Edition utilizing Microsoft SQL Server to host the repository services. So as just a quick recap, in the previous video we did walk through and successfully install Informatica PowerCenter Server Edition, and so in this one we'll go ahead and configure the ODBC connection, environment variables, and enable the services. From here, we'll have VMware open. Now we noted that we had to have at least 6 gigabytes of RAM during the pre-install check. So what we're going to do is we're going to move this slider just above 6,000 megabytes, which will equate to 6.1 gigabytes of memory allowed for the virtual machine. Let's go ahead and start it up. Alright, so let's go ahead and log in as DSC. Then our password is, as we recall, data, all lowercase. And once we're logged in, we'll go ahead and log in as root, because we will need to copy the ODBC files that are currently available that are listed as root as the owner. So go execute our sudo-i command, password of data, all lowercase. And first step we're going to do is we're going to copy the odbc.inst.ini file. So we'll execute cp/etc/odbc.inst.ini. We're going to move that to our home directory. So we're going to do /home/dsc. Hit enter. The next one we're going to move is going to be actually in the root directory itself. So this is the data direct ODBC 7.1 library file that we'll need to copy over. So this is going to be cp/root/odbc tab to auto-populate /odbc.ini. We're going to move that over to the home directory as well. So /home/dsc. Next, we're going to move the ODBC 7.1 ODBC inst file. So in the same directory, we'll do cp/root/odbc 7.1/odbc inst.ini, and the target directory will be /home/dsc, and we're going to add the prefix of dd to the file name itself, so we don't override the original inst file we had moved over from the etc directory. Go ahead and hit enter. From here, we're going to change the owner from root to DSC. So to do this, we'll execute chown, which is the change owner command. And then our user, so it'll be dsc:/dsc, then our file, so /home/dsc odbc.ini. Enter. Again, we'll do chown dsc:/home/dsc/odbc.inst.ini. Now we'll update the owner for our last file, so we'll execute chown space dsc:/home/dsc/dd-odbc-inst.ini. Now that we've moved the files over to the home directory and have changed the owner to be DSC, we're going to go ahead and move these files to the host machine using WinSkip. But first, let's just go ahead and make sure those owners have changed. So we'll do a cd/home/dsc and execute the ls-ltr command. And we can see that all 3 files, the owner has been changed to DSC. Alright, so now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and minimize this window, and we'll move over to WinSkip to connect to the VM via SFTP. Once WinSkip is open, we'll go ahead and connect to our VM. If you have saved it, it will be right there. We can enter the information that we did initially. Okay, this will log us into our home directory. From here, we're going to copy all 3 of the files we had moved over. So the dd-odbc-inst.ini, odbc.ini, and odbc-inst.ini. Move those over to our directory of our choosing. Now we have both the data direct and the original ODBC inst.ini file So we're going to add the entry that currently exists in the odbc inst.ini file to the data direct odbc inst.ini file. Now to do this, we're going to use a local text editor. I use Note++. You can use whatever word processing tool that you have available on your machine. So go ahead and navigate to this directory using Windows Explorer. And I'm going to open up the original odbc inst.ini file. Edit with Note++. I'm going to copy this entry because I'm going to paste it at the bottom of the dd odbc inst.ini file, just so it is available going forward. Go ahead and leave that open just in case I need it. Open up the data direct odbc inst file. We're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom just so we can maintain the pre-existing formatting, and we'll paste it in down at the bottom. Go ahead and save. And now we're going to move on to the odbc.ini file. Now in here we'll actually create the DSN connection that we'll utilize to connect to the database service. So we'll edit this with Note++. Now we're going to copy the line that says SQL Server Wire Protocol right below Teradata, right above MySQL. We're going to copy this. We're going to paste it right below the Progress Open Edge protocol. We're going to rename this to be unique, so it'll be inf_MSSQL _PC repo. Now we're going to go down to the actual section below and copy the entire DSN connection information for the SQL Server Wire Protocol. So this section right here, we're going to copy all of it. And we're going to paste this down at the bottom of the file. And we're going to rename this header to be the inf_MSSQL _PC repo. Now that we've done that, we need to update a number of specific fields. First one is going to be database. We're going to change this to our database name that we established. So it's going to be inf_PCR_v101. Next, we're going to go and change the host name to be Ubuntu, which is the machine's name, all lowercase. We're going to add in the login ID. In this case will be SA. The port number, which is 1433. And the password for the account, which is DataSource 2017 with capital D. Now, typically we do not log in as the SA. We would create a specific database user for Informatica to utilize for this connection. So go through and review that we have the port number, the password, the login ID, the database, and the host name has been set. So that is done. We'll go ahead and save our file. And now we're ready to move it back over to the virtual machine. Before we move everything over, let's go ahead and rename the original odbc inst.ini file. We're going to add the suffix of .org to note that it is the original. Now we'll go ahead and delete the two files that are currently on the host machine that have been unedited, and we're going to move the updated files over to the virtual machine, just the dd odbc inst.ini and the odbc.ini file. Now we're going to trim the prefix of dd off of this file, as we'll be utilizing it in the /etc directory once we move it over. Alright, now that that is done, we can switch back over to our virtual machine console, and we'll note that these files will exist in the home/dsc directory. Now from the console, we're going to execute the copy command to move these files over to the /etc folder. So do cp -R for reclusive /home/dsc/odbc.ini. Follow up with our target directory, just /etc/ and we'll just add the file name in here of odbc.ini. We'll go ahead and verify and go ahead and hit enter. And we'll execute our second copy command. So cp -R/home/dsc/odbcinst.ini. Our target directory of /etc odbcinst.ini. Now we're going to change the owner back to root from DSC. So again, we'll execute our chown space root :root in our file. So /etc/odbc.ini. We'll change the owner of the second file with chown to root as well. :root /etc/odbcinst.ini. Now that we have those files moved over, the next step will be to set the environment variables. To do this, we're going to update the environment file. So we're going to execute the nano command of nano /etc/environment. Go ahead and hit enter. We'll note that the path variable is at the top, so we're going to enter in these values belowhand. The first one will be odbc.ini, all caps, equals quote /etc/odbc.ini, quote. Our next variable that we'll be adding in will be all caps ld_library_path equals quote /usr/local/lib :/root/odbc7.1/lib. The next one we'll add in is all caps lc_all equals quotes c, capitalize, quotes. Next one is locale, all capital, equals quote en_ capital U, capital S, .utf8, quote. Next will be capital NLS_lang equals, all caps, this will be American_America .al32 utf8, quote. The last one will be lang, all caps, lang equals quote en_ capital U, capital S, .utf8, quote. These variables are required in order to access the library for the ODBC drivers. So I want to go through and just proof just to make sure all the spelling is correct. And then once we're confident that everything is correct from a grammar standpoint, we'll go ahead and hit Control-O to save and Control-X to exit. Now once we have these set, we'll go ahead and reboot the machine so they take effect. So type in reboot. hit enter. Our machine will go ahead and cycle through the restart process, and the next steps will be to turn on the Informatica services, which will bring up the administrative console where we'll configure the repository services. So go ahead and log in as DSC, password data. Let's go ahead and just log in as root. So sudo -i and our password of data. So we'll need to execute the command as it is in the root directory. So let's go ahead and type in our shell. So sh/root/server/bin/infoservice.sh startup. Hit enter. This may take a few minutes to cycle through, and once it is successful, we'll be able to access the administrative console. Please note that when we do access it via web browser, we may encounter an HTTPS splash page we'll have to navigate through in order to access the console. So from here we're going to type in the VM's IP address. So 192.168.208.129:6008. From here we're going to enter in the username, which is going to be administrator with a capital A, and followed by our password of data source 2017 with a capital D. Now we're able to successfully log in. See that our node is up and running. So we'll switch over to the Services and Nodes tab under Manage. We'll see our license and our node. And with the domain_DSC selected, we'll hit the Actions button. And in the drop-down, we will hit New PowerCenter Repository Service. Here we'll enter in our name, so we'll type in our INF PCRV101. And we'll just add in a quick description, just best practice to do so. So type in Informatica PowerCenter Repository Service. Let's add in the version of v10.1. I'll go ahead and see that it is for our domain_DSC. We'll select our active license, and we'll select our node. We will not be providing a backup node at this time. So go ahead and click Next. Now we'll select our database type from the dropdown, which will be MS SQL Server. Enter our username, which is currently SA, and our password, which is DataSource 2017 with a capital D. Next we will select Use DSN, and we're going to enter in our ODBC DSN name, which is going to be info_MS SQL_PC repo. We will leave the code page the same. Now we will select the No Contents Exist, and we're going to check both boxes, Enable Global Repository and Enable Version Control. Go ahead and click Finish. And if all the configurations are correct, this will successfully create the contents and initiate the services. And voila, we are successful. The PowerCenter repository service is available. See from that green check mark. If we go over to domain, we can also see in the splash page that both services are active and available. So we'll go back over to our services and nodes. And we're going to now add in our PowerCenter integration service. Go ahead and name this. I'm going to type in info PCIS, V101. I'll add in a quick description of Informatica PowerCenter integration service version 10.1. Note our location is domain DSC. We're going to select our license. We're going to assign it to a node. So our node 1, and we're not going to select the backup node at this time. Go ahead and click Next. We're going to select our repository from the drop-down menu. And our Informatica Administrator login. So this will be Administrator, followed by our password of DataSource 2017. We have the data movement mode as ASCII. Go ahead and click Finish. Now we're going to change one thing real quick, is the code page. We're going to change this from MS Windows Latin 1 to ISO 8859-1 Western European. Click OK. Okay, we'll notate that the integration service has been created, however it is currently disabled. So prior to enabling the service, we need to change the PowerCenter repository service operating mode from exclusive to normal. So we'll click this edit button over here. Operating mode will change to normal, and we'll enable the security audit trail. Click OK. Note that it'll restart and recycle the services. So once the service has been disabled and re-enabled, we will see that the operating mode has changed from exclusive to normal, which is required to enable the PowerCenter integration service. All right, so it's back up. You see that it is set now to normal. So we'll go back over to our integration service. And now we can enable our service. Top right corner, enable service. And the integration service is available now. So we'll go back over to our domain splash page. It is refreshing right now, but we will see that it is available. So we see that one is available in there, and we highlight over, see that they are available. Just waiting for this to refresh, and there we have it. Both the integration service and PowerCenter repository service are now up and running. So just to recap, we configured the ODBC connections. We updated and applied the environment variables required to utilize the ODBC connections for Informatica. We enabled the Informatica server services, after which we logged into the Administrative Console and configured both the PowerCenter repository service and the PowerCenter integration service. The next steps will be to connect to the Informatica server utilizing the client on our hosting machine.